Hello everyone, welcome to Here We Go. We are starting a new chapter on the basic opening moves. Now we have learned capture techniques, life and death, as well as capture race. Now this new chapter is a little different from the previous ones. Let's look at this comparison chart. So the first three chapters we learned about techniques that are derived straight from the basic rules of Go. Capture is based on the rule of liberty. Life and death is based on the rule of illegal moves, and the race to capture depends on both the rule of liberty and the rule of illegal moves. However, when we're talking about opening, it is not derived from the rules. It is largely derived from human experience. There are various styles of opening, different moves for opening, and different josekis. Josekis are a fixed sequence acceptable for both sides. Our next chapter will be dedicated to many josekis. Now we have also learned about opening from artificial intelligence. AI programs have shattered the human understanding of Go opening, which brings me to my second point. If you were studying capture, life and death, and the capture race 10, 20, 50, 100, or even 2,000 years ago, it would have been the same because those patterns and the moves, techniques are derived from the basic rules, so they're always the same. However, as for opening, pre-2016 and post-2016 are wildly different because of the emergence of artificial intelligence. What I learned about opening 20 years ago is largely obsolete. If you play the opening moves that professional players were playing from 20 years ago, people would probably laugh at you today. So it is really amazing that we are able to incorporate a lot of new moves, more advanced moves in this chapter and the next one. So you know the cutting edge of the development of Go. As for the logic, we saw in the previous chapters that the patterns and the problems are strictly logical. There are correct answers and there are wrong answers. However, in the opening, the logic is usually fuzzier. I cannot tell you with 100% precision why a move is correct. It's often derived from experience. Many of the good moves are corroborated by AI. So in the previous chapters, you can't really disagree with the correct answers, because if you play the wrong moves, then you will not achieve the objectives of capture, of making a living shape, of killing your opponent's group, of winning a capture race. However, in opening, you may disagree with some of the so-called correct answers, because there are many ways to play the opening, and of course, as a beginner, you are free to experiment on your own. To illustrate what an opening is, I'll just play the first 20 moves of a game that can be played on the board. So you start with the corners, and we'll learn why we start with the corners in our next lesson. So black goes first. Usually you place the stone on the upper right corner. It is Go etiquette to play on the upper right first. And then white follows. Both have played the start point so far. And now black plays the 3-4 point. White follows with another start point. Now the four corners have been occupied by one stone each. Now black has a few options. It can reinforce its own corner, it can approach its opponent's corner, and it can play on the side. And we'll learn about all these basic moves in this chapter. So black decides to approach white's corner, and white responds. And now black plays the 3-3 point against the white's start point. This can be seen as another approach to the opponent's occupation of corner. And here, from move 7 to 11, we see a very basic joseki, meaning a fixed sequence that is acceptable to both sides. And we will learn many josekis in our next chapter. So here, basically, black has occupied the corner, while white has potential on the left side by building this little wall with these 3 white stones. So both sides can be satisfied, although this shape is very simple and there are follow-up sequences that both sides can play to reinforce its own shape. But for now, both sides can leave it here. So it's white's turn, and what white will do is to approach the corner on the lower right, and black responds like this. Again, this is another very simple joseki that leaves many moves to be finished in the area, but because it is the opening, both sides want to move a little faster. So white will want to move to the upper right. It's another approach to the corner, but again, black doesn't have to respond right away. Black instead focuses on the lower right, and black now wants to attack move number 12. But of course, white doesn't have to play on the lower right. The board is very big, and white can play on the upper left to attack black's number 5. And black plays number 17 to reinforce number 5. White now occupies the side so that these two stones cannot build a base on the side. So instead, black will do a 2-space jump to the center. And now what white will do is to attack, is to have this double approach on this upper right corner and can potentially attack the upper right. So that's the first 20 moves. As you can see, there's already a lot going on, and we'll break down the most basic moves in this chapter. We will leave simple and more complicated josekis to our next chapter. This is going to be a really exciting chapter, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching.